Tennessee and Montana have both passed laws pertaining to firearms and ammunition earlier in this year. The laws from both states essentially say that firearms and ammunition manufactured inside their respective state and not sold or shipped outside of the state were exempt from the federal gun control law. The state's legal position is based, of course, on the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which reads, as I'm sure you three know, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Having the states assert their rights and putting the Fed in its rightful place as a servant of the people and the states, not a dictator over them, will not be welcomed by some, specifically the federal courts. Will you as governor stand fast and draw a line in the sand in an attempt to protect Alabamians' gun rights, like Tennessee and like Montana? Why or why not? And what other approaches in the arena of gun rights for Alabamians would you propose? Tim James.
No. Go back a little bit. The Second Amendment, again, in the Bill of Rights, is a restriction on federal power. The federal regulations or the federal limitations are unconstitutional on their face before we ever get to the question of what states can and cannot do. What states need to begin to do is to live by the Constitution. And all of the checks and stuff that you have to do when you go buy a shotgun are unconstitutional. That is a limitation on your right. The states have a right to do it, but the federal government does not. That's what the document says. Finally, we're paying attention to what it says. So in the Tennessee situation, of course, governors and leaders of states must together challenge this system. And I'm telling you, it is much about awareness and education throughout this country. We quit teaching history in our public schools in this country. This drives my wife, Angela, crazy. And when you don't teach proper, accurate American history, you leave our children open to what they get in the newspaper, and it's not true. This is just another example of the same. Thank you.
Dr. Bentley.
I am a strong supporter of our Second Amendment. That's my concealed weapon permit right there. And I have a pistol. I have several pistols. I have several guns. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in the Fifth Amendment. I believe in the 10th Amendment. I believe in our Constitution. And the Second Amendment should not be changed. We cannot allow the federal government to keep us as citizens of this country. If we want to arm ourselves, we cannot allow the federal government to keep that from happening. And on a state level, I will do everything I can to make sure that the people of this state will continue to have the rights to arm themselves, because that's what the Second Amendment says. And I am a 100% total supporter of the Second Amendment.
The Second Amendment is not about hunting or fishing. It's about protecting citizens being able to protect themselves from the government. That is my basic fundamental belief. And I can tell you from my experience in Afghanistan and with the freedom fighters in Nicaragua, what a small group of armed folks can do. I witnessed in Afghanistan how a small group of mujahideen armed with old English bolt-action rifles managed to defeat a superpower. And I saw in Central America where a small group of really committed citizens with the same old kinds of weapons managed to turn that government around too. And having lived and worked with folks who were prepared to die for what they believed in gave me the absolute confidence that an armed citizenry is the best defense for our Constitution and our way of life. This Constitution and our belief in a Christian God has made this nation the greatest nation on earth. But what has kept us the greatest nation on earth is having our citizens and our military ready to stand in the gap to those who would fight to destroy our Constitution. I'm prepared as governor of the state of Alabama to stand up in the same way through either 10th Amendment actions or other constitutional amendments that will reaffirm those rights given to us under our U.S. Constitution and protect the state sovereignty for the state of Alabama. Thank you.
Very good. This concludes our first segment in the forum tonight. Let's give our participants a big round of applause. We appreciate that.